What's up, everybody, and welcome to Expedition Online Season 6. I am Sam Donovan, and with me tonight to go through a little bit of a fireside chat, post-rendezvous check-in, see where the game's standing, I have Jess Martin and Jon Schneidman. How are we, folks?
Great. What a season it has been. That was a wild last rendezvous vote.
Yeah, the first two votes of the rendezvous have been completely off the rails, so I'm very excited to talk about it with you guys.
Yes, very quick shout out to our first members of the rendezvous elimination list, Rocky, Joshi with the majority of the votes, and then Kara getting the boomerang twist thrown back at her. Sorry that you guys have left the game, but it's not without fireworks. Is that not a good assumption?
No better way to go out.
So, as we start talking about the game that we have left, there are 8 remaining players in the game, and there's a lot of different alliances, sub-alliances, rivalries going on. We have heroes and villains. Schneidman, is there any one person of the final 8 that you would like to kick off the conversation with?
Well, I think I want to start off by asking, is there something that Eli could have done to have, and Kara for that matter, to have prevented the boomerang twist from taking out Kara? And I'm wondering, was there anything they could do to have gotten Joshi off of that?
I mean, I don't think that Eli had any idea that Kara was going to be the vote. I think he was pretty in the dark on that. Jess was pretty in the dark on that. I think Kara had an inkling a vote could go her way, but I didn't think that she thought it was from Joshi. But, I mean, just in observing conversations with them, I think Kara has a very quiet nature in general, and Joshi wanted more information out of her. She told everybody else in the Cranberries that she lost her vote. She didn't tell Joshi or Aaliyah, and just when you find out little bits of information, that builds distrust, and I think that's what sunk her.
Right. And I also think, your ultimate goal going into every vote is to make sure the person you want gone gets gone, right? So maybe Kara and Eli were more focused on getting Joshi out. Everybody obviously heard it all through Crossroads. They had it in the back of their mind. I hope the twist doesn't fall on me. I hope it doesn't fall on me. But at some point you have to just, put your mind to, all right, I just want to get Joshi out at this point for them, and they just put all their focus in there. This twist, I was thinking about it all night. How do you avoid that twist coming back? And I don't know, you have to just cross your fingers at some point and hope for the best for the boomerang twist, I think.
Yeah.
Can I make a proposal of how it could be handled? And I want to use it. I want to use this group as an example. Okay. So let's sit in Eli's seat. Okay. The Cranberries fucking falling apart.
Yeah.
We're like
R.I.P.
And you actually want Joshi out. I think you assess. Okay, my number one target is Joshi. Who else do I want? You're not really with Austin. Maybe you try to get the most votes on Annie and tell Austin and Annie the vote is Joshi, so that Annie gets out in the initial vote. Annie's vote was for Joshi, and you've now taken them both out in one fell swoop. I think you want to blindside somebody and have that somebody voting for somebody else that you want out.
Voting for the main target.
Yes, I think in the end you actually want the boomerang twist to knock out your main target, and then have the most votes go on to somebody else.
I agree with you. I think that's a good way to think about it. I think that round got a little chaotic with Jess exposing the Cranberries to Ryan, and her saying that it was Joshi. I think that threw Eli and the rest of the group into paranoia, and they didn't even think to approach it that way.
There's also the fact that
we confronted her.
Yeah, but she lied and she said it was Joshi.
True. Do we think Eli bought that?
Yes.
Fair enough.
I think with the twist and then all of the shit that kind of hit the fan as it went on, everybody got very defensive. Your maneuver takes an offensive player to execute that move. And I think everybody was just playing a little bit scared because of that boomerang twist. Now, if we introduce that twist to a potential returnee season, a potential mini where there's returning players, more experience in the game, I could see that working maybe. But also, you only have an hour. Everybody's kind of sitting on the balls of their feet waiting to see what happens. That's an incredible move, and I would have loved to see you in this game try to execute that one because it would have been very interesting.
I don't want to be in a boomerang boat with Schneidman ever.
I don't want to be in a boomerang boat, period. Let's get one thing straight.
Yeah, I just think, like, you want to try to minimize like being in that position where it's like, I hope he didn't vote for me.
Yes.
Fucking sucks. And so you got to try to do something to control where, even if Joshy's getting most of the votes, you have to try something so that you know where his vote is going. Unfortunately for Eli and Kara, they had no equity with him anymore, which is why I kind of think they should have tried to put all the votes on somebody else so they didn't have to rely on somebody that they had no trust with just not voting for them.
Right on. Well, future players, write that down. This is Strategy 101. Working on it for the next season. Take that into account. Thinking about that vote, too, I think somebody that's coming out of that vote in a precarious position, and as we saw at the end of last episode, was Aaliyah. Everybody thought her and Joshy were tied very tight. She said she would have been open to vote for Joshy. My perception thus far has kind of been Aaliyah and Joshy were indeed tied together. She also has been playing a more quiet, laid-back game, kind of letting the game come to her versus playing in that offensive position. Where do you guys see Aaliyah kind of taking her next steps as we enter the final 8?
It'll be interesting to see where she goes because I feel like she's a number for someone to pick up now since no one in the Cranberries told her the plan. And if she's kind of playing the way she has been, maybe she'll wait for other people to approach her. But I would love to see her get on the offensive and build an alliance with people who are lone soldiers. Like maybe even use Joseph. He doesn't have anybody.
Yeah. There are loads of people who should have seen Aaliyah yelling at her former alliance partners and be like, awesome, great, yeah, Aaliyah, please enter my warm embrace. I'm thinking of Austin and Annie. Like, easily could see that and say, there's a place for you right here, Aaliyah. Please join our round table. And then, like, you only really need 4 at this point in the game. And it's Austin, Annie, and Courtney. So if you add Aaliyah to that, that's a really hard thing to break up. And that's before we get to Ryan and Jess.
Yeah, who are really kind of playing the free agent kind of middle ground. Now, Jess has kind of planted her flag at this point in the game going against Eli, which is a big target to plant your flag against. But Ryan and Jess have been doing an impeccable job of that so far. I mean, Ryan, I don't think his name has really come up much, if at all, yet. I think if we want to do a power rankings of sorts, I think Ryan's in pole position right now to keep playing that middle game and, see this thing through to the end. I really like where his positioning is in the game right now.
Yeah, Ryan is definitely in the best spot of anybody right now. I don't think amongst all of the chaos and the loud voices that he's coming up on a lot of people's radar, but like he dictated all of the madness that happened the last vote. He pitted the Cranberries all against each other. He got them to send Joshy and Kara home in one vote. And none of them realized it. They all think it was Joshy's fault.
Well, he's such a calming presence in the chaos. I think it's like his personality is just so still that when people are running around with their hair on fire, they just want to tell him things. Because it's like, this guy will know what to do just by his sheer aura. He'll know what to do. People just seem to be attracted to, like, I want to share things with him because he is a cool customer.
Well, I mean, yeah, that Jess spilled all of the Cranberries' secrets to him, and he didn't ask. She just told him.
Right. And like you said, it didn't even fall back on him. Like, he is just doing such a good job of threat management, and, it's never his fault on any of this. He's just playing such a cool, calm, collected middle ground game that is very impressive to see thus far, especially with how many votes he's been a part of and, just the chaos that's been around him. To be able to just sit back and let it all happen is really impressive so far.
And the man has 2 compasses at final 8.
No one has any idea.
Insanity.
This is what we all want to see in the real show, right? Is people keeping that close to their vest and not telling anybody. He's truly doing it with exceptional skills right now. Like, how does nobody know about this right now? It's incredible. It really is incredible.
Well, everybody knows the compasses are out there, right? We saw that in the last episode. They saw the clues.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they know that it's out there. And they're just sort of like, who's to say who has it?
They think Joseph have it? And the one that Ryan got was the public one that you want to say something at Crossroads, but he saw the clue the day before, and Joshy tried to claim it before he went out, so everyone thinks Joshy went out with it. He's on anybody's radar.
Ryan was cool about it. Joshy was not cool about it.
Ryan may have been in the sentence a little bit better.
Peace, love, and blessings to Joshy T, but he kind of, there was a Mack truck claiming of a public compass.
Thank you, Joshy. We loved it.
We did. I mean, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah.
We all know that Joseph does have a compass, and Joseph seems to be kind of not targeted necessarily, but I don't think anybody would be arguing if Joseph was the next, vote to go home. But he does have his compass now. What is Joseph's next step to, stay alive and not just get through 1, maybe 2 votes with his compass, but how can he make a run at that final?
Joseph needs to, I think, continue linking up with the threats like he had in the Boomerang vote, linked up with Eli and Austin. And I think he needs to run with them a little bit longer. They all are such big, loud players. I think they need each other for a while.
Yeah, but Austin and Eli are like this, and it's hard to bridge an alliance with 2 other people who are kind of frenemies in the game right now. Like, Austin and Eli get that they sort of need each other, but they're still not really working together. And I think the thing that's hard if you're in Joseph's position is you can't make them work together. It seems like it's going to be really difficult for him to, okay, this is our group now.
Well, and we're at the point of the game where you can use that meat shield strategy for maybe 1 or 2 votes, but in the back of your head right now, final 8, you're close to the end. You're thinking about taking out those big threats, and even if they are your biggest allies, now's the time to maybe take that shot. It's a very fine line right now of, do you want to be too early, too late, right in that middle spot? This is a exciting part of the game, to say the least.
He's definitely in a tough spot, like you said. Austin and Eli don't get along. That group, there's definitely tension, but that's who he needs. I would love to see him link up and use Aaliyah, who's a free agent now, but I just don't know how quieter players would react to aligning with him. I don't think they would want to, because he just seems like such a good target that all of them have wanted out for so long. I think the threat alliance is his best route, but I might have to pull a Jack Powell and keep finding some compasses every round.
But would that be the most satisfying story? Shout out to Jack. He'll get that joke. Don't edit that one out. It's a good line, I promise. But I think if I'm Aaliyah, that's exactly who I want to align with, right? I feel like I don't have anybody. I think that's what her frustration after the vote was about, that she now feels that she doesn't have anybody. So why wouldn't you link up with the biggest threat and try to make something happen with him, at least for a little bit? So from Aaliyah's perspective, I don't think watching that she's going to be the next target, but I get why she thinks she is. So why not, okay, you don't feel good about Eli anymore, so Joseph feels like somebody good to slot in there.
I mean, shout out season 1. This is kind of exactly what happened to you, Jess, right? You were the last remaining person standing. You seemed like an easy target. You could be the next person voted out when Team Rob was down to 1 person. Instead, the smart players picked you up, used you to get along further in the game. you ultimately turn it on them. So maybe that's Aaliyah's position. Use other people, be that free agent, use your game as that one extra vote to help people out before turning back on those people. I mean, Aaliyah has a nice ride to the end if she can play it right. She just has to get a little more aggressive in her game. Mm-hmm. She has to be a little more offensive. But I like her standing, honestly.
Yeah, there's a lot for her there. She has a lot of options at this point, especially in a game that has been so, like a rendezvous that has been so chaotic. Mm-hmm. It is more than, like, who knows? There have been a lot of twists this season. Who knows what the next twist is going to be that makes it possible for her to stick around for a little bit and make something happen. So it's very much there for her.
Oh, 100%. I think she has a solid groundwork. She just needs to put in that work now. Yeah. In terms of other players left, we have Courtney and Annie, who are kind of opposite sides of the spectrum in my mind. One has said a few less words than the other. In terms of Annie's game right now, I think she is also kind of in that Aaliyah position where she needs to step in, start being more aggressive in that gameplay. And maybe it is working with somebody like Courtney who can, help her find her voice in the game, because Courtney has voices for many people in this game, I think, at this point. She can share the Lola perspective.
Share one of them with Eddie?
Sure, why not?
Well, that's the thing. So we're talking a lot about a threats alliance and a lot of meat shields we're talking about right now. So if people are going to want to hide behind the Austin, Josephs, and Eli's of the world, if I was Annie, I'd be very nervous if I kept hearing that. If I kept hearing, oh, let's not do Austin yet. Let's not do, and she doesn't want to do Austin. Austin's her closest ally, but let's not do Eli yet. If you're Annie and you saw how this vote went, where people were pissed at Eli, but nobody wanted to vote for him. If you're somebody who's playing under the radar, that would make me nervous, because I just watched one. Okay, Joshi was not under the radar, but I watched another very under the radar player. Annie watched her in the Cranberries go. So if I was Annie, I'd be like, that could be me.
She needs to get together with Aaliyah and the other under the radar players and take one of the big guys out.
This feels like what Jess is getting, right? Like Jess, by revealing the alliance. And I also, I've read some of the comments under the video about Jess's tactics in this last episode. And I think, Jess is a very values-forward person. And I don't think this was a move for her. I think she truly felt like she was being, what's the verb I want to use? Like her views were being ignored by Eli. And I can't imagine that she would just let that go. She restates her values very often. So I can't see her going back to Eli after all the things that she said about him. That just would be that just wouldn't line up with who she tells us she is, which is all we've seen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I think that alliance is dead and gone at this point. I'm not sure how they can work together. That seemed like a pretty big blowout to have, especially this close towards the end. They are now marching against each other, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, that's a big statement to make about your closest ally and try to go back to them after. So, R.I.P. Cranberries.
That is the wild part.
Great band.
Great band, not a great Survivor alliance, unfortunately, or Expedition alliance.
How many votes did they last? 0?
They had potential, too.
In theory, it was a great alliance.
They were real. I thought that was real. It was not at all. So I think Jess. I think Jess is actually somebody who could, if you grab Annie, grab Aaliyah, and then then you outnumber Austin, and then it could be that 4 moving forward. So I think Jess made some really good connections through this episode and is in a position to parlay those into a power place as we hit the latter half of the rendezvous and towards the final ascent.
And we've seen Jess and Austin work in the past. I know that's, it's been hit or miss, but they have worked in the past. You bring Joseph in with Austin as well. There you go. You have your 5 at Final 8.
It's actually a very fluid group. I'm trying to think of it who sides. I know there's kind of Eli and Austin, but everyone else, no one else seemingly really has beef as much as
Well,
Eli and Austin do. And I guess Jess and Eli do now too. But
well, we did swap them every 5 minutes. That helps.
Yeah.
we only have ourselves to blame.
Swaps and twists make for
That
no
makes it
line.
hard to build lasting bonds.
Sorry, guys.
I'm not sorry.
It's been so entertaining to watch so far, and it's good too, right? Everybody's kind of worked with or against every single other player at some point, so at least nobody's a stranger to each other. Everybody knows the other players, which is great to have at this point. Somebody we know a lot about so far has been Courtney, because Courtney has let her thoughts be known, and I don't know if we've had a more entertaining player in Expedition Online than Courtney at this point. Courtney is casting gold. She is fantastic at playing this game. I don't think anybody wants to vote her out in terms of gameplay right now. How does she not march to the finals? Nobody wants to vote her out.
That's why you got to vote her out, though. Like that's one seat that's not yours. Like, if everybody wants to, not everybody's going to get to take her to the finals.
Right.
Right? Like, this is, and Courtney has, like, for all of what feels like chaotic energy, has actually been very predictable when it comes to voting. She has been very upfront about what she was going to do at each step. And so,
she writes it down every time.
She gives it away too early, in fact. So, like, if you're not with her, if you know that she's not with you, you need her out like yesterday. Because like she's always going to be a number for Austin, with Austin and Annie. Always.
Yeah. As long as Annie is okay, she wants to make sure that Annie is okay. She will continue to play this game like the smooth criminal that she is. I guess at this point I just want to open the floor. Again, final 8. Any remaining thoughts that you two would like to share where we're at right now?
Who do we think's going next?
You mentioned it earlier. I think Aaliyah is the easy target, which makes me think it won't be her.
Yeah, I don't think
I'm wondering if Joseph could get too comfortable. People could reel him in enough to not play a compass, and he could be the next vote. I could see it being him.
Do we think anyone would swing at Eli? I mean, like, this setup from this past episode, Jess was targeting him. His ride or die care is gone now.
Yeah, I think it's very hard to come back from a lot of the things that Jess said about it. And so, like, I don't know, like, how, like, that feels like the easy next move to me. Like, just get this guy out. Like, it seems like, people want him gone for game reasons, and Jess wants him gone for personal reasons, and which is perfectly valid. But, like, so why not? Like, if I'm Jess, like, go to Aaliyah, go to Annie, go to Austin. You already know that they want to get Eli out.
I would love to see that happen, because I love Eli's approach to the game. If he hears wind of his name, he will not sit back and see kind of what happens. He will take a front seat and make sure that it's not him. So I think if that's the outcome, I think it'd be a very fun episode to watch and see him try and navigate not being voted out for the first time, because he really hasn't been a threat up until this point. I think people have liked working with him. And yes, he's been one of the more outspoken people, but nobody's really wanted to vote him out yet necessarily. So getting him behind the 8 ball could be very interesting to watch.
This whole game has been very interesting. It's been a very round to round game, and especially like depending on what the twist is, it really shifts how everyone's gameplay is going to be. So it's really hard to say who might go next round, because we don't know what Jonathan's going to announce is in play.
Oh, I'd be losing my mind if I were them. Thank God.
I mean, has there been one straightforward round yet that didn't include a swap, a rendezvous, a random twist?
No, and even the rounds that should be straightforward kind of weren't.
Joseph compassed out Barr.
Yeah.
that was the easiest vote we've had, except it wasn't.
3 Sandras in Austin, and Austin stayed. Like, unpredictable shit. But that speaks to their gameplay.
Right. These 8, I mean, the whole cast really came to play, but these 8 have been already, I mean, literally everybody pretty much has some type of resume at this point already, right? Now it's just adding to that and keeping it going. All right, we're final 8. Who are your picks for final 3? Let's take winner out of it. Who's going to make the final 3? Schneid, I'm going to start with you.
Going with all women. Aaliyah, Annie, and Jess. I think, like, there may not be anything some of these guys can do about it if they get together. So that's my guess.
I have one in common with you. I think Jess can make the final 3. I think it will also be joining her will be Courtney and Ryan. I think those two will Ryan will keep playing that middle ground and make it. And I think Courtney is just going to sneak by. I think Jess and Ryan are going to just keep her tag along and get her there. And a final speech from Courtney, I mean, maybe I'm just trying to will that into existence because I think that would be worthy. I mean, we're going to win Golden Globes for that performance.
I agree with you, Sam. I think Courtney will be there. I don't think she's going anywhere. She's obviously tight with Austin. I think Eli likes her a lot as well. So I will put her in there. And then I agree with Ryan as well. I think he's like in the prime position to win out of anybody right now. And I don't think any of the big dogs notice that. So I think he's going to the end. And then I think Austin, I think he's been playing a really good game so far. He's shifted when he needs to. He's stirred up drama when he needs to. I think he's a good chance to make it.
Can we just quickly talk about the way Austin received that stuff from Jess? That was pretty masterful, too.
Yeah.
Of, like, he never mentioned the game. He never said, like, oh, so should we now vote Eli? He met Jess where she was, which was like, this is a real personal thing rather than a game thing. And that was like, and that I thought was really well done.
I think of everybody left, Austin has that best, game personal mindset. He's so eloquent. He really knows what he's doing in this. Like, if I were to guess, he has played many of these games because he is approaching every conversation incredibly professionally, like he's going to make a run. So honestly, if he makes the end, I would not be surprised either. I don't have him there, but I think he can make final 3.
But he hasn't played a ton of these games. He played Expedition Kilimanjaro and got swap screwed, and he has come back with a vengeance to win. And I think after getting swap screwed, you're going to do your damnedest to make it to the end, and he has got that drive to do so.
Yeah, he certainly does. All right, Jess's winner pick, Austin. We can all stamp it down right now.
You heard it here first.
Anything else, anybody? Do we have any last takes we want?
I think it's just been a great season so far in general. It has been so constantly chaotic, and you never know what to expect. And I just want to shout out everyone on the cast for coming to play and giving us some great entertainment.
Absolutely.
This has been an awesome season so far. All of the players have taken the twists in hand. Any boomerang twists, swaps, it's all been fantastic to watch, and they are approaching it very well. So shout out to season 6. This is Expedition Online. This is the premiere show. We love this thing. We're going to continue to keep bringing this extra content to y'all because we like to break the game down. We like it just as much as the rest of the fans. So for Sam Donovan, for Jess Martin, for Jon Schneidman, this has been a Rendezvous Fireside Chat. Hope to bring more of these to y'all, and we will talk to you later.